Hey, good evening. I'm PopPop, and you're in my LitRPG world. It's Thursday night. That means I have two interviews tonight. 8 o'clock. I have Kyle Johnson, the author of a bajillion different series going all the way back to 2020. Coming up at 9 o'clock, I'm going to have David Baxter. So, twofers on Thursdays. Kyle Johnson, welcome to PopPop's LitRPG world.
How's it going, Pop?
I am fine and dandy. How's it with you wherever you are? Because
Yeah,
that looks like, I don't know, some kind of weird background.
I'm weird.
Whoa, Ryan Maxwell does that kind of stuff. It's
I
magical.
know.
So we are here to talk about your journey into LitRPG.
Love
So
it.
we pop up if you've ever watched me, we do conversations. I chat, I talk. I don't have these like bullet point questions just to drive you nuts. Yeah, we talk. We see how things go. We do get comments at times from our audience, and hopefully we'll have an audience tonight because there's a lot going on in the world apparently. So let's talk.
Sounds good. I love talking.
You sent me a copy of the Doorverse Chronicles,
Yes,
which is a current series that you have going on. You have like 9,000 current series going on.
I do.
This is a portal series of some kind.
Yep.
I haven't started to read it yet because I went and I read Murph's Laws as the one I wanted to read first.
Okay.
So
I like Murph. He's a cool guy.
He apparently is, and he's hanging out with all sorts of beastkin and elves, very fantasy oriented.
Yeah.
What goes on in the Doorverse?
So the Doorverse is, I always say, it's Quantum Leap meets John Wick. So the main character is an assassin, and he is sort of forced into this multiverse called the Doorverse, where every book is a new world, and every world has a new magic system. So basically, he goes from world to world, and in each one, he has to learn a new type of magic. And in each world, something is wrong. And if he wants to leave that world, he has to fix it.
Yikes.
Yes.
What is the mechanism that is controlling his progression or his movement?
He has an AI embedded in him. It's called Sarah. And the AI basically gathers energy wherever he's at and uses it to improve him, level him up. He gets stronger. His stats all go up. He gets different professions. Some are generic professions like warrior and sailor and hunter, but then some of them are unique to each world. So that first book is a cultivation book. So he's in a wuxia style world, and his professions are like related to martial arts and so on and so forth. So then he has to learn how to do cultivation in this world and stop a plot to, basically destroy the way that world works and the way that cultivation works in that world. And the thing I like about this series, he is never the strongest guy in the room. He is always dealing with people who are better than him because he's just come into this world, and he gets good fast, but not fast enough to like compete with the people who are doing these things.
Not an OPMC.
Yes, he is OP compared to regular people, but not compared to the BBEG. They are the top people, the most powerful people are always outclassing him. So he has to win with cunning, excellent planning, and ruthlessness, which are things that an assassin would have,
Yeah.
And that's kind of his thing. He always at the end, he always has one last trick to pull that he's set up for the, to help him get through as the bad guys think they have won, and then he, snatches victory from the jaws of defeat.
So after he snatches that victory and he goes to the next world, does he reset or does he keep what he's learned?
He
Or at
keeps
least
what he's
levels?
learned, but so first world is cultivation, second world is not. So in the second world he goes to, he loses all of his cultivation abilities because it's not a cultivation world. But,
Okay.
but he has gained in stats. However, through the process of the first book, he gets a curse. I won't say how, but he gets a curse. And that curse keeps him from being able to control like where he goes. And it also weakens him every time he enters a new world. So every time he enters a world, he loses a little bit. And then he has to regain things. He also, whenever he comes to a world, he basically, he and the AI together form a new body for him. But he has to learn how to like adapt to that world. And it's not always a human body because he's not always in a human world. And so he has to like learn how this body works, but he also isn't really part of that world. And so a lot of what he's doing is learning how the world works and adapting to it. And the more he adapts to that world, the stronger he gets, the more present he is there. So he goes through these, little leaps of progression as he comes to different realizations about the world and different understandings.
So I have the first book here. What is the current status of the Doorverse?
So the Doorverse, I just this past month released book 5. And I'm currently working on book 6. So there are 5 books out, and each book the last one was a steampunk world where, book 5 was steampunk with psionics instead of magic. So mental powers instead of magical ones. We took a trip to Iceland, and I used it as an inspiration for him to go to a frozen world where he had to channel spirits for magic. He's been in a Wild West Pokemon world. So it was set in the Wild West, but instead of people dueling with guns, they duel with their monster tamers, and they duel with monsters and magic cards to empower those monsters. And he's been in a zombie apocalypse.
Of course, why not? So, I mean, you are blending and mixing things around here now, because we already know that in addition to the Doorverse Chronicles, you have a card-based series going on.
Yep.
Mirth Laws.
Mirth Laws is a card-based series, yes.
That's what I've decided to pick up and read, is Kyle's first series for PopPop to read. Now, I am going to complain. We already explained this, but hey, this is my deal here. Let me get on with it. Look at this font, people. I am almost 65 years old. I cannot read that font. What the hell happened to PopPop?
I did not realize it was that small. I actually just recently, my family and I took a trip, and on the plane, I brought the book to read because it was a long flight, and I opened it up and went, whoa, that's tiny. It was something that Amazon did when I put that in to the paperback. They shrunk it to fit it into their maximum page size because it's a chunker of a book.
Well, I mean, literally, if it was a normal font size, you'd be looking at 1,500 pages.
Yeah, and so to fit it into what they wanted, they shrunk the font down. And I did not realize until I started reading it.
I'm going to have to get one of those magnifying things.
I know. I was feeling the same way. I'm like, I need a magnifier. Read it like this.
Yes, I do. Trust me, I have been.
So I am currently republishing that, trying to get it as to make it work as a PDF file, so that it would have larger font. So.
Okay. So I may have to buy another book.
Well, once I get it, I'll send you one.
Okay, fine. All right, good. All right. So that's that second series. And there are 2 books out now of Murph's Law.
Yep, and I'm working on book 3.
And how many are you going to have in this? I already know the answer, so I'm reading
that one's going to be 7.
A little bit. 7 because he has 7 cards or something like that.
7 cards, 7 books.
Okay. So, and again, I'm just beginning this, so he's not a holder yet. When you are a card holder,
that means you have put. So in the Murph's Law series, there is an overarching power called the Unity. And the Unity creates these magic cards and hides them inside of labyrinths. And so people delve labyrinths and come out with cards, and you can take these cards and put them. Hey, how's it going? You could put them in your soul, and then you get the abilities that these cards give. And it's actually very poker based. So instead of, being like instead of Magic the Gathering type thing, it's based on poker. So you might have a 3 of stars, a 4 of coins, a 5 of cups, and a 6 of blades. And that would give you a short run that would give you an additional
power. I learned that much so far. I mean, the card system you have here is what, 5
suits,
15 cards,
15 ranks per suit. And then you'll find out that that's the Arcana deck, which is the lower deck. There's a higher deck, the deck of powers. It's more like a tarot deck.
Okay.
And then there's an even higher deck above that.
I've got lots. You know what, BJ, here's more books for your TBR. You're welcome. I love you too. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. God awful. You know what? I'll never stop reading.
Awesome.
I'm never going to be done. So that's 2 of your series.
2 of them
that we're going to talk about. You just told me that you have an apocalypse series that your kid loves.
The Phase Shift. That is the Phase Shift series. That is a completed series. So it's finished. 5 main books and 2 side books. I do recommend reading the side books. And so 7 books in total. And that one is post-apocalyptic, set mostly in the upper Midwest, because that's where I live.
Yeah, why not? That happens. That's another thing that I have to ask. I have theories that I'm working on about the apocalypse and where it's going to take place mostly, and I'll do that in the video. I'm going to babble, people just rattle on and on and on and on and on. So we'll just see what happens there, because it's not going to be in the Mideast. It's not going to be Megiddo or Armageddon.
Right.
I got a theory, and I'll tell you later.
Okay.
So that's completed with 7 stories up in the Midwest, because you are in that area.
And that one, the main character of that one is a tank class character. So he's big. He wields a glaive back before glaives were cool, before System Universe used them. He big. Former martial arts instructor, former judo instructor. And so basically 98% of the animal life in the world dies overnight, and electromagnetism is replaced with this new energy type called the facets. And he and everybody else who survives gets superhuman abilities. And at the same time, legendary monsters start coming to life from nowhere. So now he's got to deal with werewolves and dragons, and up here in the northern Midwest, we've got Mothmen and Hodags and stuff like that. Yeah. So
good old cryptos.
Exactly. Cryptoids.
So, you are like a superhuman author. You don't just create very simplistic universes or systems in your books.
I try.
Every single one. I mean, God, the Doorverse is different every time you go into a book.
Yep. Every book is a different system.
So people, when you read a Kyle Johnson series, you don't know what you're getting.
Well, and I don't just, so like the Doorverse, I don't just create the system. So like I'll create a map of the world and create a history of the world and political structures, even for places that I don't think the story is going to go to, just because I never know what I'm going to need to pull in, and I want everything to be self-consistent. So I create the whole system, the whole world. Plus, if I really like the world, I can always go back and revisit it and do more in that world. So, one of my favorite worlds was in the Doorverse series was the Wild West gunslinger world. And I do at some point in time want to revisit that, because that world has its own system. Most of the worlds don't. In most of the worlds, he's the only one with a system, and they're all just, going through. There's even a side story that's only for my Patreons where he comes to Earth, but a different Earth, not this Earth. And so he has a system and everything. But but I create the entirety of the world so that I can always go back and use it again. And because sometimes those bringing in those little details, it just fleshes the world out, makes it feel more real. When you could talk about events that happened that everybody knows about but him, and he's got to kind of figure out
what? You're right. Yep. Then he's got to catch up.
And he doesn't want to let anybody know that he's, been popped in here from another world, because most of these other places have no idea that other worlds exist. And he doesn't want them to think he's crazy or whatever. Plus, there's always a bad guy. And if the bad guy knows who he is and what he is.
Watch out for the bad guys.
Yeah. So if the bad guy knows who and what he is, they'll just kill him before he's figured anything out. So
that's not a good thing.
Nope.
So now we have talked about 3 of your worlds, and we still have around 6 million to go.
Well, I know you were talking about you wanted to do the Drone Rising.
Yes.
That's my sci-fi world. I love that world. So my challenge with that
sci-fi lit RPG.
It is a hard sci-fi lit RPG. So it is not my challenge to myself with that one was to write a sci-fi series where everything in it is maybe theoretically possible. So like no warp drives, none of stuff that probably is not possible.
No hand.
It all revolves on one idea that at some point in the future, far in the future, humanity discovers how to create negative matter and negative energy. And by doing that, they solve all of their energy problems. And by being able to solve all their energy problems, because if you have negative matter, you can create unlimited energy. And because negative matter, I don't know if anybody knows, negative matter reacts oppositely to forces than regular matter. So negative matter falls up instead of down, and two negative like charges attract instead of repel. So if you stick a negative matter proton and a regular matter proton in a magnetic field circling round and round, the negative matter is going to be attracted to the proton is going to be repelled, and they're just going to chase each other round and round. And moving magnetic fields create electricity. So, yeah. So the idea is that people have created unlimited supplies of energy, and with that, all of mankind's needs were met, and they were starting to get into kind of a Wall-E type situation. Mm-hmm. So they created this system, this overnet, that basically acts like a super internet and a super intelligent AI to watch over all of humanity. And it said, all right, we need to challenge these people because they're all just drifting into apathy. So it created a system based on old role-playing games where everybody gets a career and you can level up your career, and leveling up your career gives you a massive dose of pleasure, which addicts you to it really quickly. So you want to keep leveling up your career. And everybody has stats and gets skills, and they can advance their skills. So, and everyone is immortal. All citizens are immortal because there are different classes of people. All citizens are immortal because at the moment of their death, the overnet takes a snapshot of their mind and then reincarnates them, rebirths them as they were at the moment of their death with penalties. For dying, because it doesn't want to encourage people to commit suicide. So the main character was a drone, which is the lowest of all the castes, almost mindless. Not mindless, but very close to it. They have no memory of like yesterday or the day before or anything like that. They only exist in the now. And she, through an accident, is elevated to become a citizen, and now has to make her way in this human collective when basically the entire system is against her because she doesn't belong. And the nobility who rule everything mostly are against her. The system is against her, and the system is limited by its own protocols, but it's doing everything that it can to kind of bring her down. And she refuses to be brought down. So she just gets more and more ruthless and more hardcore as the story goes in her attempts to basically make herself safe. So
fair enough. So now we've talked about all these series.
Yep.
So
Singularity Online.
Singularity Online, your first one, you said. Now,
First series
before
ever.
we go into this, before we go into that, we're gonna take a little diversion because I know what you did. You told me what you did with Singularity Online.
Yes.
Pantser versus plotter versus what are you?
Little both. Used to be a total pantser with Singularity Online. My first book I started and just started writing, and all I had was a concept. So it was March of 2020, April of 2020. The lockdown had just started. I was at home. I own a kids' gymnastics and fitness center. We were forcibly shut down. We were running virtual classes. And my family, my wife is an educator. My kids were in school. So I had to leave everybody alone and stay off the internet to give them the bandwidth. So I started writing, and I realized that there were a whole lot of stories. And at that point in time, almost all of the stories, with one exception, were hybrid melee spellcasters. Everybody was a spell sword. And the only real exception was Jason from Awaken Online, who was a necromancer. And so I wanted a pure spellcaster, not a necromancer, like an evoker, kill it with fire type spellcaster. And nobody had really written that. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to write the book that I want to read. So I wrote it. I had zero expectations. I wrote it because I thought it would be a story I would enjoy reading. And I wrote it. I paid $20 for my first cover. The artist grabbed a couple of clip art pictures of a flaming skull and a mountain, and I put it out there, and I figured if 10 people read it, I'll be happy, And it actually did well, and people enjoyed it and were asking for more. And I'm like, I guess I'll write book 2. So I sat down, and now when I'm writing book 2, I'm like, but I really need to have an idea of where this story is going. So that at book 2, I stopped and said, all right, let me plot out exactly what the point of this story is. And Singularity Online is the entire point of the story. It is a VR story where the game is there to learn how to read people and be able to create virtual copies of people so that they can be uploaded into a computer and create the Singularity. That's why it's called Singularity Online. And the problem is that to do that, you actually have to create, an AI, a general AI that is that person. It thinks like them. It believes it's them. It has all their memories. It will say what they will say. It will do what they would do. Otherwise, it's not that person. That's the only way that you can do that. And so the game is a way for the AIs to learn people. And This is the beta test. And he was one of the programmers on the game who got into the beta test. And he just goes around breaking the game, just constantly, just stress testing it, finding ways that it can be broken, that it can be twisted. And the idea being that eventually he is given the choice: does he enter the game permanently and die in the real world, or does he not? And there's a big motivation for him to do it, and there's but there's a big reason why not to. So there's a lot of so that the whole point of the story is the game is constantly offering him temptations to see what he would do. And the entire thing is a big story about him dealing with greater and greater and greater temptations. And I'm like, that's what I want this story to be about, So,
and that went 7 books or 5 books?
7 books. It was originally going to be 6, but the 6th book was over 300 something thousand. It was like 320,000 words. And it was like,
it's chunky.
I had to split that. I couldn't make it into a paperback at that. So I split it into two smaller 150,000 books. So.
And when did you finish that series?
That one, I want to say was 2023 or so. 2022, 2023. Yeah.
So what's your current workload like?
Well, right now, I just finished Doorverse 5, and I'm working on Murph 3. A Massive B is the name of the title. It's the title. And So I'm working on Murph 3 right now. And then the next one, because there's one other thing, my Academy book, right there, Blood Runs True. I'm working on book 3 of that one after that, and then I'm finishing off Drone Rising. Drone Rising has one more book to it, and then it'll be finished.
So you're pretty regimented as to how you're working on one book to get it out, and then you're gonna go.
Yeah, sometimes I'll switch between, if I hit a place where I'm feeling a little like, man, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one, I'll switch to I'm working on Murph 3 and I'll get, 10, 12,000 words in it a day most days. But, if there's a day where I'm just not feeling it, then I'll go and write, from the next book of Escula Academy. And just write a chapter of that just to kind of, cleanse the palate, and then next day go back to Murph 3 and keep working on that.
And you are still self-publishing.
Yes.
Okay. So you are Kyle Johnson LLC or some god.
Yeah, something like that. It's actually tied in. I own a kids gymnastics and fitness center, and the books are tied into the business to that same.
You got to do something with your tax accounting and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. It's just one account. And I'm not that I would care if Penguin, I would mind if Penguin said, hey, we'd love to publish it. But but for right now, yes, I'm self-published and everything.
Very good. So you are now, let's go beyond now. You pantsed Singularity Online, and you now have the 3 or 4 or 5 different series under your belt. You've progressed. What are you now in terms of your writing style?
I'm a bit more of a plotter than I used to be. Now, what I'll do is sit down at the very beginning and kind of decide what major events I want to happen in a story. So for Murph 3, I know, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And this is how it's going to kind of wrap up. But then I'll just write like 3 or 4 major events I know I'm going to get in there. And then I'll just kind of let the story flow. They don't always happen. In Phase Shift, I had written a character, Annalise, who is the main female character. She was originally a throwaway. She was supposed to be there to teach the main character. The main character was treating this new reality like it was a game, like it was a video game. He was thinking he was indestructible and treating it like a game. And he met her, and she was supposed to be killed fairly early on in the first book as a reminder. So she was just supposed to be a throwaway character. But I liked her so much. I loved her character so much that I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So I created a different character for that purpose, just a throwaway character, just to teach them, that they had to take this seriously. This was real life. There are no respawns. And she ended up probably being my favorite character in any book I've written so far.
That just freaks me out, because that always happens. You always hear stories from authors where characters get away from them.
Yep.
And it's, that's why I can't do this, because I'm like, but it's your character. You're in charge. What are you talking about? And
it's everybody. As you're writing these characters, you get to know them too. So it's like, as you're writing them, you're kind of getting to know their personalities, but you're also, you're fleshing out their backstory. You create a backstory for them, but you're fleshing out some of the details as you go, and you're figuring out how they handle things and how they work and so as you go, these characters change and become, slightly different people than you imagined they would be. And you just have to roll with it.
You have to be true to what happens.
Again, in Phase Shift, the main character, Troyus, was supposed to be a big reluctant leader. That was the whole point. He was supposed to have the mantle of leadership thrust on him, and he's just dealing with it and trying his best. But it's like, as I got to know him better, he wouldn't be okay with that. He's not okay with just trying to do his best. He has to get out ahead of things and has to think his way through things. He's the patient warrior is his big mantle. So he doesn't just let the world come to him. He he plans for it to happen and waits for his moments. And so he had to become more proactive of a leader, more ruthless of a leader, more, he was teaching me about him as I was writing him. And I had to change the way I was thinking of him to match his personality. So yeah, they take on a life of their own sometimes.
Yeah, that hurts my brain. That's why I read. That's why I read and consume, because I'd rather have you all do this for me. To create Murph, and to have him run up against the elves and the cat creatures, and cats, dogs, bears.
Yep.
I mean,
elves, halflings. And I tried to mix things up a little bit in that world. Like the Canids are extremely practical and pragmatic, and the elves are, they're arrogant, but
they are very uppity.
They're very arrogant, but they think of themselves as this great warrior culture, but they actually suck. Like that, most of them are just terrible at it.
I've got that feeling so far very early on.
Yeah, and the real warriors are the halflings. The halflings had to fight against their own land to be able to survive. So they're the real warriors, and they're the ones that people are actually afraid of. So
that's a nice little difference that you put together.
Yeah, little things like that, and so it's
little things.
I tried to mix things up.
So we have everything that we talked about there. Do you have merch?
You know what? I really don't. You would think I would. I should.
You have 5 series. There's a lot of places you can create merch.
There really is. I really should.
Don't even go with me. I don't have it yet, but I've only been around a year, so don't worry about me.
No, I totally should. I should have merch and put it out on my website and sell it. And I tell myself all the time, I should sit down and make up some merch for myself and put it up on the website. And
I mean, I got Nick Turner to create some merch for, at least I suggested it, but and I told him to do Paco 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 for his raccoon, just because one of the ads I did, had some music that had some weird words in it. Huh. So it doesn't cost much. They're all over the place. I mean, Come on. Even Tommy Kerper, Sal Pachuro has merch. Ugh.
I think my problem is that, okay, so
don't tell myself
every morning I wake up, I come here, I run classes at the gym, or do admin. Then every afternoon I write, and then I go home, see my family, come back here, work at night, go home and write. And it's that I got to set aside time to do things like create merch and set up the Shopify account and put it up on my website and actually maintain my website, which I am terrible at.
Yes.
And so it's when I have a free moment, I would rather sit down and write. I would rather sit down and see what Murph is going to do next.
It's going to be your income stream. So
yeah, if I have the choice of sitting down and creating merch, or if I have the choice of writing another chapter, I'd rather write another
chapter. Yeah. So social media wise, you said you have a Patreon.
I have a Patreon. I have Instagram. I have TikTok. I have Facebook.
I haven't seen you on TikTok yet, have I?
Maybe not. I'm terrible.
I'll have to track you down.
I'm old and terrible about TikTok. It's one of those things where I won't too. But I am terrible about TikTok. I have made a few videos and posted them on TikTok. Most of them are like promo videos and stuff like that that I've put up. I did the ones where you're just holding up your book and flipping through the pages and stuff like that. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But TikTok requires you to be active on TikTok. So
it does. It's majorly different than
you do. You have to be there to catch the trends, so that you can twist the trends to your genre. So
I got no time for that, really. I use it
and I have enough trouble. I TikTok for the gym, but that's because I have staff who are in their 20s and they TikTok madly. So I just tell them tell me
Do this.
what we need to film, and they tell me, and we just make it part of our staff meeting every week of, okay, let's film ourselves doing this challenge, and let's film ourselves doing that. And so we do that on TikTok rather and everything, but I don't do as much on TikTok as I really should for the authorship. But
yeah, I know BJ has been on Discord with the LitRPG Con for years. She had a fantastic time at the con last year. But she has so far resisted TikTok.
Yeah.
Because she has so much temptation in all the other areas. So I understand that. I just do it because, PopPop has to.
Yeah.
Can't be helped. So, so we have all that. We talked about that. What else do I want to talk about? What's your con? What are you going to be doing this year?
I am going to LitRPG Con for sure. I did not go to LitRPG Con last year because I had to choose between it or a corporate convention. They were both at the same time. And I'm like, I don't know how the LitRPG Con is going to go. I'm going to go to the corporate convention. Just let all the people go and just kind of see how it works. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. There were so many people. It was great. I'm like, all right, well, then I'm going. So this year I'm doing that. And I already told corporate I'm not going to be at your convention this year. So I'm going to the LitRPG Con. And then there is, there's like a couple of book selling things that I'm doing. There's a booksellers fair here in Chicago that they do every end of every summer. And I've got a table there. And then there's a convention, a comics convention that I've gone to. And, with the book selling ones, I usually just kind of break even, to be honest. I usually end up selling enough books to pay for my table. But I kind of think of it as like, hopefully I'm getting my books out there. And since it's just the first book, maybe they'll like it. And then they'll go get the second and the third and the fourth. I'm hoping that to make the money through the read through rather than anything else.
So you are up in the Midwest.
Outside Chicago.
You are in potentially the same state or area that Sean Oswald is in.
Yes. We're both in the same state.
Hey, Gary B.
Sean and I have met before at some authors conventions. So, yes. Hello.
Hey, Gary. So, I know he was up there. Are there any other Illinois, Indiana type people? Well, I know there are. I know at one point Damian Hansen lived in Wisconsin. He's in Korea now, but he was in Wisconsin for a while. I don't know who else around me, to be honest with you. It's like I said, I've seen Sean a few times. Sean's great. I love Sean. He is so much fun to be around. If you get the chance to hang out with Sean, any of you at LitRPG Con, totally do it. He's a fun guy. Huge, but a fun guy. He is. When I walked up with the first book of his series, he just grabbed it, opened, and wrote Steve. I'm like, how? You don't even I've seen you. So he just knew exactly that, he just wrote Steve and signed the book because he pays attention.
He is one of the nicer people that I have ever met. To be quite frank with you, I always
seen that. Yep, I interviewed him way back when.
He's a fun guy to be around. I've met most of the big authors. I've met Dakota and I've met James. I've met Jez and Nikolai and Matt Dinneman and everything. So I've run into Haylock and everything. I've run into most of these guys before.
So you're gonna have fun. I mean, they're all gonna be back there. They'll all be back. I'm pretty sure. I'll ask Haylock.
I'm looking forward to meeting Stephanie Nemeth Parker. She is the woman who does the audiobooks for all of my drone series. And every time that I've gone to a convention, she hasn't been able to make it. And every time she's gone to one, I haven't been able to make it. And I think we're both going to be at LitRPG Con this year. And I'm like, finally going to meet the person that I've been chatting with forever and working with forever on these books. So I
have Buy More. Gary, I just took it off the shelf to look at it for the first few pages, and I'm like, okay, I've got to put this back. I have too many books. So, I mean,
It's
there's
another
just,
good apocalyptic, and you know you like the
I know
apocalyptic.
that I do. Everyone knows that PopPop loves apocalypse. The apocalypse side. It's just, it just happens. Let's see. What was I going to say? I had, Ben Karai. One of the best things, here's what can happen when you say you're trying to, get hold of your audio person. Ben Karai and Travis Baldry were hanging out in the back of the vendor room, and they had never met. And Ben Karai has he has the Vampire Vincent,
The Deathloot Vampires, right?
Unorthodox farming,
Yeah.
and they never met. And I got to take a picture of the two of
Nice.
them meeting. And that was cool. That's what can happen. You have to arrange that kind of stuff.
The last time that I ran into Dakota, well, the first time I ever ran into Dakota, so my younger son is my LitRPG. I have two boys, both teenagers. My younger one is the LitRPG fan. And at the time, his favorite series, and it still kind of is, was the Completionist Chronicles. He calls it the Joe books, but he loves them. And I mentioned it to Dakota, just in passing, just, hey, my son loves it. It's great. And he tracked me down at the convention so that he could give me a copy autographed to my son.
Wow.
Book for free, which was just so nice of him. So nice. And the last time he gave me a ton of these pens that have little fidget spinners on the top. They have like Dakota Kraut, Mountaindale, and everything on them. And they have these little fidget spinners on the top because I use them at the gym all the time. Because as I'm talking on the phone to like parents and stuff, I'll be just sitting there spinning the thing all the time. And I give them to the staff. Everybody loves them. They're like, awesome. It's like
last year, again, just coming into the genre, in June of 2025, Mountaindale had their gathering, an annual gathering at Epcot. And I could have actually gone to it because I'm 40 minutes away from Disney. But I was scared. Because I mean, it's like it's Dakota, it's Nicola, it's all those people, and I was nobody. I still am nobody, but I was
they would
nothing.
welcome you with open arms.
They would have.
I have noted that is one thing about our genre is 99% of our authors just adore meeting fans. I know there are authors that are kind of like or just don't care. But we love meeting fans, and it's not just like oh, hey, how you doing? Matt Dinneman is way too high end to be hanging out with me. But at the last author convention I went to, not at all. We were drinking together and hanging out, and he's a great guy. Awesome guy, just very down to earth, very laid back.
When you go to a Matt Dinneman signing, he's already been going through this constantly forever and ever, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And he's talking beforehand. So he has thousands of people, hundreds of people. But when you're there in front of him holding how many ever books you have of his, you are the center of the Matt Dinneman universe for that 30 seconds, that minute. He is there with you.
Yep.
And that's the coolest thing.
And for like the newer up and coming authors, the people like Matt and Dakota and James Hunter and these people and Sean Oswald who are huge and have all of these series and have been doing it. That's ridiculous. Good for him, but man, they are so available. Like they come out, they help you. If people, put out a cover on the authors group and will say, hey, what do you guys think of this cover? And they will give you honest feedback, or here's my blurb. And they will come to you, and these big names will actually come and say, here's what I think. Here's what you could do. I mean, they are not just like, sometimes in these genres, artists are very, I want to do well, which means I don't want you to do well because that would take readers away from me. And I have never encountered that in LitRPG. In the 6 years that I've been writing in it, I have never met anybody even remotely like that who has not been, come on in, write more. We want more books. Mm-hmm. More books, more readers, more people. We love it. Bring it on. And I think that's great. It's one of my favorite things about the genre.
So there's Duke. Say hi to Duke, everybody.
Hey, Duke.
So you did Singularity Online. Yep. You decided just to start writing it.
Yep.
Did you go through any of the writing websites? Did you do Royal Road? Did you do anything like that? Or did you just...
Well, Royal Road wasn't really a thing back then. And so, no, I did not. Back then, really the only real ways of getting your name out there were the Facebook groups. And like there was some Discord and Reddit, but mostly back then the Facebook groups were the big ways to get your name out there. So I wrote a book. I reached out to the admins of the Facebook groups and said, hey, what are the rules about me being able to like self-promote? They told me, I followed them, and I just put out there, hey guys, I wrote a book. I hope you like it. Please enjoy. And
people
read it. I mean, it's people have I actually had people asking if I will go back and to it and write more. And I'm like, I'm not sure, because VR Lit RPG isn't currently what it used to be. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't like it because they don't feel like there's good stakes and everything in it. They don't feel like
that's what I made. I made James Hunter show me why VGO has stakes or something. Yeah. And he did, and I'll have to read it at some point.
Yeah, no, VGO does have stakes, and I tried to make stakes in Singularity Online. I don't think that death is the only stake, and I've always said I don't really get the whole death is a stake. I mean, if I'm reading the Dresden Files, if there's another book, then I know he lived. So it's not really a threat. You know what I mean? I always know that the main character is going to live because there's another book. Now, if it's the last book, I don't know if he's going to live or not. And if it's, George R.R. Martin, I don't know if anybody's going to live.
Yeah.
I do personally believe that George Martin has not released his last book because he's trying to figure out a way to make sure that the reader dies too. And just hasn't gotten there yet. But
yikes.
But yeah, I think that there are stakes in the VR Lit RPGs. They just are stakes within they're stakes within the actual game. You have to make the game world so completely and totally like intensive that it feels like there are stakes. Like if he loses, terrible things will happen to this world. This is not just oh no, he can die and try again. He can't die and try again. He dies and awful things happen, and he has to succeed at this moment. And I think that you can add stakes without having to add the threat of death. So I've thought about going back to Singularity Online. I even had an idea for another arc, another series in Singularity Online with a villainous main character, where basically it is a regular dude who's gone through a whole bunch of terrible stuff and goes into the game as kind of an outlet to get away from all the horrible things going on in his life in the world. And he tries to be a good guy, but he just gives in and becomes the bad guy. And I already have a whole idea of what I want to happen for him and everything. I just don't know if it's worth writing it anymore, because of the anti-VR.
It comes down to whether or not you can
sell. I mean, if you're not going to sell the series, it's not worth the time of sitting down and writing it.
So. You can't. I mean, unfortunately, that's true.
Hey,
so what else you want to tell me in the last couple minutes before I have to get ready for my 9 o'clock? Because I'm a busy guy.
You are a busy guy, man.
I can't help it. I want to help. I want to get things out. I want to, get as many people out as I possibly can.
Awesome. So I think basically I mean, I am constantly releasing work. I used to be more prolific back a couple years ago. I had a different work situation than I do now, where I didn't have to be here as often, and that's changed. Now I have to be here a lot more, so that's cut down on my writing. But I have never abandoned a series. I am going to finish Throne Rising. I'm going to finish Doorverse. I'm going to finish Escola Academy. I'm going to finish Murph's Laws. I have more more ideas lined up
Because
behind
once you
it.
start creating, you can never stop.
I can't. I find that on days where I don't write anything, I have trouble sleeping at night. Like my brain is just racing, and it wants me to start getting ideas out. And I have a ton of ideas of things that I've never like. I've sat down, I've worked out the system in the world, I've written one chapter and then shelved it and said, that's enough to get it going. I'll come back to it when I'm finished with certain series.
There you go.
And that's where Murph's Law started. I literally Murph's Law. I watched the Maverick movie with Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster, and I'm like, a snarky gambler would be an awesome main character for a card-based thing, but I don't want another Magic the Gathering card thing. I want something that's a little different. So I want one that's based on poker and tarot card rules. So, everybody's a layout like in a tarot card, but you stack cards together with poker rules. And I'm like, I feel like it's a little different. It's something a little more interesting.
It is. I mean, it's different. It's different from Honor Ray's series.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is different from from Demon Card Enforcer by John Stovall, which, by the way, if you haven't read it, amazing card-based series. I totally love it. But I wanted something that was a little unique and, different. The same card might give different abilities to different people. So it's like, normally in these card game things, you pick up a card and it has an ability. But, this one, if you've got the 5 of blades, well, 5s are almost always about defense, and blades are usually about like blades, attack, metal, and so on and so forth. But 2 different people based on their personality might get 2 different, slightly different powers.
We have to meet again. We're going to have another episode of PopPop's LitRPG World where we talk about, say, Murph's Law once I know a little bit more about it.
There you go.
Because and your Doorverse, everything that you create is deep.
That's what I go for. I want real worlds.
So I
like reading my books. I really, truly enjoy going back and reading my books just to immerse myself in the worlds. I like it. I don't. And I think that's what you should do. I think you should write what you want to read and what you enjoy reading.
A lot of people start that way, and that's what you did with Singularity Online.
And I think every book is me a story that I think would be fun to tell with a character that I like. I like the main characters. I like what they do. I wait till you meet Millie. You're gonna love Millie in Murph's Laws.
So you are going to come back again some point in the future when I don't have.
Point in the future,
when I get some time.
I know you've got a busy schedule, man. You're getting all the big people in. I know with all the Jeff Hayes and everything in there.
That was fun.
That was awesome.
I got Jordan Comp people to get. I have road people to get. I've got newbies to get. I've got established people to get. I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk tonight.
Me too. Thank you.
I got a chance to sit down with Murph. I bought Murph's Law a long time ago, and it just sat there because it happens. Because I mean, look,
you've got a huge TBR.
Phenomenal. The cover is phenomenal. Amazon damaged it a little bit, but oh well.
I mean, I paid a few $100 for it, so I hope it's good.
Oh, it is. No, I love it. It's phenomenal. It's great. We're going to see you at LitRPG Con.
I will be at LitRPG Con.
Blast.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
So, everybody, Kyle Johnson, thank you for coming in tonight. Go read his books. They're all deep. I have to get overload. I have to do a little bit more doorversing because that's a little bit outside of my normal process. So we're going to do that. He will come back. We will have a deeper talk about something. And Drone Ensign, whatever the science fiction.
Drone Ensign, sci-fi. Yeah.
Drone Ensign. I hate doing that. Come back and see me.
You got it,
We'll
PopPop.
see you in 5 months.
Sounds good. I'll see you at the con. I know, it's crazy. All right, have a good night, sir.
You too. I'm going to be back in 5 minutes with David Baxter. We're going to talk about apocalypse because that's what PopPop does. Ciao, everybody.
Have a good night.
5.